Hey guys, welcome back to Keystone Construction Developments channel. So we're going to take a break on our epoxy table for a couple days, and we thought we'd turn a cup on our lathe. During our pour of our epoxy, we had some extra slag, some leftover that we didn't want to throw out. So all we did is we took some of our walnut chunks out of our scrap bin, we threw it in an epoxy mixer, and we poured our remaining epoxy into this, and we let it sit for a couple days. And it turns out this is what it looks like. So we thought we'd take a break on our table like we said previously, and we're going to turn ourselves a little mug or a cup. So let's get started. Okay, so turns out my little thing's not going to fit in my bandsaw, so I went and I got my Sawzall with a blade. If you're going to be doing this, just make sure you keep safe. You want to stick to all the rules and safety rules to the machines, but just keep your hands clear of the blade because it could hurt. So I'm just going to cut this off flush and then put it on my little sander here. So let's see what we can do. You can see I'm turning it as I'm going, that way I can keep a more level cut. It's not the ideal way to cut it off flush. If you have a bigger bandsaw, you're better off to use the bandsaw. As long as you're keeping your hands safe as you possibly can, I don't find there's going to be an issue with this. Just be safe, please. So just see as I'm turning it, that's helping it keep it as a straight cut. So there we go. So you can see that kept it fairly straight. So I'm going to take all this and I'm going to go to my sander and I'm going to sand that all off flush till you can see nothing but wood and epoxy, flat with no air gaps. So the saws all work pretty good. Just make sure to keep it level, make sure to keep turning, and you'll end up with a fairly straight cut. Just keep your hands clear of all blades. I think we're going to throw this in our little scrap bin, and we might even use this again for something else. So here we're at our sander. Make sure when you're doing this, we're at our sander here. Make sure when you're doing this to keep your hands clear of the blade and just keep turning it like this on your sander and moving it back and forth. If you keep it in one spot for too long, what's going to happen is it'll burn and melt and start getting too hot, and you're going to wreck your belts a lot faster. So if you move straight as you can, up and down, crossways, whatever you got to do to not keep it permanent in one spot, that will help save the life of your belts. just about got it. If you notice your belt getting a little bit too sticky and too gummed up, get yourself one of these silicone sticks and just rub it across the belt. And if you keep an eye on the belt, how it looks like it's gummed up right now, watch as it'll look like it starts to clear up. These silicone sticks work really well for cleaning up your belt sanders. Just rub it back and forth. Don't press hard. But take a look as it starts to clean itself off. Yeah, you should be able to see that. Like a brand new belt. Remember to keep turning it and moving it back and forth so you're not burning your belt. Belt gets gummed up, just use your silicone block again. Just keep repeating the process until you get it nice and flat. We're just about where we want it. I think we're pretty good with that. Got a little bit of a hole here, but I think that's going to turn out well when we get to our lathe. We'll be able to turn that out. It's only a little air pocket. But that sanded off fairly flush. We got no air gaps in our epoxy in between all of our wood here when we poured it in our bucket. So I'll put the video on pause and I'll unpause it when I get back and get ready to go to the lathe. Okay, so we're back. We're just about ready to get back onto our lathe. In order to get onto our lathe, we have two spindles that the lathe works on. One is just a point and one's a claw point. So what we got to do is we got to put an auxiliary block on this, so we're not going to damage this. So get yourself some acetone and a rag just to clean all the dust off, because we're going to use our hot glue stick. And we're going to put a walnut block on the bottom for our auxiliary block, so we're not having to gouge it and dig deep into our epoxy bottom. So we're just going to wipe it off clean with some acetone. Acetone dries very quick. That's why I'm using acetone. Lacquer thinner may melt the epoxy a little bit. I don't think so, but because it's already cured for a good 4 days. Wipe it a couple times. Now luckily when we were doing this in our bucket, in our epoxy bucket here, we know where our center is. If you take a peek, right there is the center of our bucket. Normally we would have to take our combination square and draw our lines and measure out our center, but we're fortunate enough to find out where our center is already. So we'll just take our little walnut block here, we'll lace it with some hot glue, and we'll clamp it on. I'm just going to get a clamp right now. Now we have the ultra dry, like the ultra fast drying hot glue. It's always good to let it sit for about 30 seconds. So I'm going to glue it on here. I'm going to clamp it. I'll put the video on pause and we'll wait about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll unpause it and I'll show you how to set it back up onto our lathe. You don't need much glue, but it's the bottom of the cup. When you go to turn your cup, you're going to skew an area down on the bottom for a flatter bottom anyway. So I would suggest you put whatever you feel comfortable for hot glue on the bottom. Little bit, lots, whatever you feel comfortable with. But once you start to put it on, it activates very fast. So find your center, give it a good squish. And clamp it right away. There. Let that sit for about 30 seconds to a minute. You can even let it sit longer if you like, but I'd suggest not putting it on the lathe until you've let it sit. That way the hot glue has time to melt into the epoxy on the bottom a little bit. So I'll pause the video and I'll come back in a couple minutes. So we've let our block sit for a couple minutes. We'll take it apart here. And now what we have to do is, since we have our center on our bottom, we have to find our center for our center point on our lathe on the other side. So grab yourself a combination square and a tape measure, and just measure very close to center. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer you get it, the less of a wobble you're going to have on the lathe. Draw yourself a couple center lines. Again, it doesn't have to be too perfect, but the closer you get it, the less of a wobble on that lathe. So I get about close to 4, maybe a 4 1/8. So went 2 1/16. Have our center here. We marked our center here. Let's head over to the lathe, and hopefully we can turn ourselves a cup and see what we can get. We might have to skew the side off a little more flush, but as we go to the lathe, you're going to notice that it's going to chip. Epoxy chips fairly fast. If you go too fast, so you have to go slow and let it kind of peel off. So you have to have a really super sharp tool to help with that. The duller the tool, the more it chips. So you'll see as we get to the lathe here. So I'll move you closer here so we can see. So this is the side our auxiliary block is going to go on, where our teeth are on our center block here. On this side, we're going to move our tool rest over. You can see on this side we only have one pin for a center, so that's the one that you wanted to mark center on this side. So we'll put it on here and we'll see what kind of magic we can come up with. I'll move the camera to the side. Hopefully you guys can still see what's going on. So you want to move your rest or your other side of your lathe fairly close. Give it a good tighten. Loosen this part right here, because this turns your center to tighten up to your lathe, or to tighten up to your piece that you're turning. So we'll loosen this one up. We have some room in here, as you can see. So I'll put this on our auxiliary block onto the center. Then I will also move this a little bit closer. There we go. And then we'll turn this until it hits to the center. There we go. Turn it, and you want to force it in just a little bit, but not too tight. The tighter you go, the more work your lathe has to do. So we'll tighten it up just a little bit. You'll hear it as I turn the lathe on, which I'll do in just a couple minutes. But right now I am tightening it until it tightens up more to these teeth on this side, so it doesn't slip. That should be fairly well. Now you're going to notice we might have a slight wobble when we turn it on. I'm going to turn it on low. So you can see how it has a little bit of a wobble, but not too much. That wobble will come out as we are turning it with our tool rest and our tools. The higher we go, the more I turn this in tighter, you're going to hear the lathe start to work more. So if you listen to the grinding noise, that means it's too tight. You're making the lathe work too much. You don't need to tighten it that much. That should be fairly well. If you see your piece starting to hold and not move as you're trying to turn, that means you need to tighten it just a little bit more. So we'll get our tool rest up, and you want your tool rest to be just below center of your piece. So let's see how this is going to work out. You want this part of your tool to be just below center. So if you might have to move your tool rest a little bit, if you can see here, I might be okay, but we might have to move it a little bit. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit. See how it's coming off in nice little pieces? The harder I push, the bigger the chunks that are going to come off. So I want to go nice and slow. Trying to keep this part right here at the end of your tool as close to center as possible, and just slowly push in like that. You're gonna get messy. You're gonna get messy doing this, as you can see all over my beard and my face. Get yourself a face mask, get yourself a dust mask, whatever you gotta do to keep yourself clear and safe while you're doing this. But I'm gonna turn this back on, and this is gonna be going for quite a while as the tool's on. So we'll see how we get going. But as you can see, when I did that, I didn't press too hard. So that means the epoxy was coming off nice and slow. It's smaller little chunks. My tool is sharp. And you saw just a little bit of a wobble. I'm going to clean that wobble up, and you're going to see in the video how you'll hear and see the piece not wobble anymore. It's because I'm taking it off and getting that wobble off back to center. You'll see. So you'll start to slowly see that wobble go away. And you'll start to hear it in the piece as well. So if you turn your piece, you can see where I've hit with my tool, but if you look at here, it looks shiny. That means there's still a slight wobble in your piece. So you want to go until all of those tiny little shiny parts are gone. We're hitting the wood here already, so that wood must have been on the side of the bucket, but that's fine. So this is dull, this is sharp. Just keep turning until all these shiny pieces are gone. It shouldn't take you very long, just go slow. Don't press too hard. Be patient. It'll come. Keep going slow, back and forth. Take another couple passes and then stop your lathe and take a look. So far it looks pretty good. This is going to turn out to be a nice cup, but we got dullness everywhere with no shininess. So that means we're perfectly center now, or our piece is now stabilized on our centers. Yep. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to drill into our end. So now we got to loosen this one up a little bit. I'm going to put the video on pause for a second. Okay, so it looks like we had the wrong piece on the end of our lathe, so we had to put our other chuck on here. But we put our other chuck on here, we turned it, and now we are sitting flush. This is our cup chuck, or the bowl chuck, whatever you want to call it. But as you can see, it's turning nice and straight now. So we're going to take this, move it out of the way, and put our boring chuck on. so we can drill a hole in the end and then we can chisel or tool in on the end. Just make sure you knock this out, keeping your fingers out of the way. You always want to be safe. Give it a good tap in. You don't need to tighten this yet, because what you got to do is you got to turn this into your piece. You just want to start your hole right now. You don't want to do anything, like you don't want to drill all the way through, as much as you can anyway. So we'll move this forward. We'll drill in a little bit, and then we're going to tool the rest out with our tool. So we just want to start the hole for now. I just went off to the side so I can find a bit. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm just going to use my Forstner bit here. Hopefully it's sharp enough. I guess we're going to find out. This is going to stay mobile as this turns, and then we're going to slide this in very slowly so we're not chipping out any wood or any epoxy. We want the bit to do the work and the machine, not us. So we'll loosen this back as much as we can. That should be good. Turn this to as close as we can. And we'll turn this on, and we're going to move this forward, as you'll see the wood start to chip away. Again, just go slowly. Make sure this is tight so it's not going to move. Make sure this part is loose so you can actually move your chuck. And just turn it slowly, and you're going to start to hear it dig in. The key is to go slow. You don't need to go fast. If the bit is sharp, it should do the work for you. Back it up a little bit here, and I'll turn the camera around so you can actually see what we're doing. So you'll be able to see this piece go in right into there. Keep your fingers away. I was only showing you and pointing. So turning this slowly, you'll see the wood start to chip away. Again, you don't need to go fast. I love the smell of walnut. You see the bit start to disappear into the middle there. Once you can't turn this anymore or extend it, you want to stop your lathe and move your tool rest or move your tool piece in so you can go deeper. I'll show you in just a second, because I think we're just about done as far as we can go. now what we want to do is we want to loosen our auxiliary piece here and move in towards the drill or towards our piece till it can't go anymore. Turn it on, holding your piece. Just go as far as you can go until that little piece of our truck can't go anymore. That's it. Turn it off. Back this out. There we go. So now we can take this piece off of our lathe because we're going to turn our tool rest off to the side here and start coming in, boring in from the end with our tools or our chisels. So again, the whole trick of this tool rest is to be as close as you can so you don't get any chattering in your tools. And you want this to be center of your piece. And then you want to always start from your left side, right in here, not this side, because your piece is turning this way. So you want your tool in here. That way it's chipping down. If you go here, you're going to lift your tool over and chatter it, right? So you want to come in through this side and slowly dig it wider, as you'll see. I'm going to use a smaller tool. That way I'm not using such a big one, and you'll see I'm going to start taking it apart on the inside and just slowly going in and out. Okay, well, it's not turning out too bad so far. We're going to pause the video and return back after we've chipped in a little bit here more. Okay, so I ended up taking out a lot more. Took me a lot longer than I thought, so I put the video on pause so I could take it all out, and then I'm just going to show you the finished part. You saw me go in with the boring bit, so you get the gist of how you're supposed to clean it out, and then you just tool the rest out. So I got in about, make sure you measure that you're not going to go into your auxiliary block, but I'm in about 3 inches. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this, and you got to progressively sand it from 80 all the way up to 400, especially if you want a really nice finish on there. So I've also turned up my lathe to go to a really high speed. That way you get a nice polished finish on it. So I'm going to put my earplugs on and I'm just going to continue on. So the whole point of this is I'm looking inside here as I'm sanding because I can see the lines where my tools left marks. So the whole idea of it is just to get all those tiny little lines away with the first grit and then just continue on. Okay, that's not bad. So you saw my bigger paper was getting stuck and caught and getting kicked out. So I just had to get a little smaller piece and go in there. And more smaller pieces, more you can control it a little bit better. So I'm just going to continue going up in grits, and you guys just continue watching. This is 180. Trick is to when you're getting this high of a grit, you do not press hard. You just press light. You let the sandpaper do the work. You press hard, you're going to burn your fingers and you're going to burn your product that's on your lathe. So just go light, back and forth. That's all it takes. Don't press hard at all. Let the sandpaper do the work. $600. $1,200. We're getting up there. See, we're barely taking anything off anymore. Finally, 2000. So you can see here, we're barely taking anything off anymore. Just taking a little bit off. So we polish the inside of this thing. Once we get to the outside of the cup, we're going to thin it down a little bit and we're going to polish it all the way up to it. I got 12,000 grit. Should look like a gloss, like literally gloss when I'm done. So it's looking pretty good so far. I like this. So what we're going to do is we'll place the camera around on the other side, and I'm going to trim the outside here a little bit more, thin it out, and circle the inside, just so your lips don't get hurt for when you're taking a nice drink. This is going to be food soluble, or not food soluble, but food safe, because it's an eco epoxy. So I'm liking this so far. So remember to get your tool rest over here. Turn it to halfway. Halfway on your project for when you're taking your material off. And I'll show you a light on the inside of this. So do you see how you can't see my finger? You can't see my finger on the inside? But if you watch this, I'll grab one of my flashlights. See how you can see through that? Right here, it looks a little glazed. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, it's got a little bit of lines in it. There. It's faded. We're going to polish that up once we thin it out, and you're going to see how that's going to turn into glass. It's going to be beautiful. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Remember to go slow. Try to keep your tool rest as close as you can to your material. If you get chattering like that, like I just saw, or like you just saw, turn off your lathe, and you're going to see how it chattered a little bit out of the material. But if you go a little bit slower, see right here, If you go a little bit slower, that'll all turn into polished. You just got to take your time and go slow. So I'm just going to pause the video and sharpen my tool a little bit. There, I sharpened it up a little bit. Hopefully it should go smoother now. Okay, so we got it down to about as thin as I think I want to go with it. I see some little chipping here. I'm going to try and get that away. Hopefully I can. I don't know why that's chipping, but whatever. Let's try to get it away. Just about. So I'm just going to trim the inside of the cup here a little bit. All right. Start sanding it, see what happens. Okay, you're going to see all these little grooves here, okay? Some of it's from my sandpaper right now, but you see how there's a little bit, or there's grooves from the sandpaper and then it's not? I don't know if you can see that in there, but that's from my tools, from my chisels. So we got to take that all down to where it's just these lines from the sandpaper. So just make sure that you're trying to hold it level. Hold your hand as level as you can as you're going back and forth. And being as you're doing epoxy, you're going to notice it start to gum up on your sandpaper. So just clean that off as you're doing it. See how it's gumming up here? So you can take that off and continue on. Go! See how it's coming up there? It's because I turned up the speed just so I can get more of a polish on it. Want to make sure not to press too hard because that's where you get the gumming. It's going to heat up too much. Press equal pressure back and forth. Because your initial goal, what you're trying to do is you're trying to level it off to make it flush. Whatever the tools didn't do on your chisels. See how it comes up super fast? That's alright. See how that spot's just about gone? That's our two-way tape that came off. It's all good. We're going to put it back on. We'll pause the video for now. Luckily, I was standing away. What was happening is it was just heating up too much. It's all good though. We're turning out pretty good so far. Okay, so turns out my block flew off the lathe. It's all good though. We fixed it up. We put it back on. We're just going to have to recenter it a little bit. So you'll see as I turn it on, it's going to wobble, but that's okay. We'll just take my tools, we'll lathe it down, and it'll all be fine at the end of the day. Luckily, no one got hurt. So there we go. We've cleaned it up. If you notice, it's nice and straight now. We're going to start sanding again, not put so much pressure on it this time. No one's perfect. Everyone still has to be safe. Even the experts aren't perfect. Having sandpaper fly out of your hands when you're on a lathe, pretty normal. Again, just hold your hand flat against the cup, move your sandpaper back and forth. Don't press too hard or else you're going to have the same issue as what I just did, having the cup fly off the lathe on you. You'll see as we progressively get higher in grit, all those sanding marks are going to disappear. This is 100 grit right now. We go through all of our sandpapers just like we did on the inside, all the way up to 2,000. We might even go up to 12,000 on the outside. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What you guys think about this cup. If you haven't already, give us subscribe to our channel, hit the notification button, and check us out online. We have our rings online now at KeystoneConstructionInc.ca under the Millwork and More tab. We do commercial work, residential work, we do lots of work. So we're just about done with the 100 grit here. Then we're going to move over to the 120. Gotta do the inside here again a little bit because the cup broke off. Not broke off, but flew off our lathe, I guess. Cool. Coming along. Sorry for the long video, guys. Probably got to be hitting an hour and 25 minutes already. It's alright though. As long as you guys are liking the video, that's all that matters. Okay, so here's our 120. Same thing, just hold it nice. Go until there's no more lines. Don't press too hard. Let the sandpaper do the work. Just move back and forth. Flipping your sandpaper. Because again, you're going to get those little pieces that stay on there. If you guys haven't seen our other videos already, we got, well, we said this morning, or earlier on in the video, that we're just putting our epoxy table on hold for a couple days because we wanted to show you what we can do for a cup. We got about 4 videos up so far about how we did our epoxy pour, how we chose our wood. Check those out with the links below, or I might put them up in the video links. Let us know if you're going to want anything. Comment below or give us an email. We do rings, pens, cutting boards. And as you're going to see after this, we're doing a cup. So now we're up to a 150. Again, let the sandpaper do the work. Just move back and forth nice and slow. Now, even though this cup flew off on me, I am being weary of it flying off again, but I can't be scared. I can be scared to a certain point, but if I'm too scared, I may as well not even be on this machine. So you just got to learn from your experiences and move on. If you can't learn from your experience, then you're doing something wrong. That's the whole point of doing what you love to do. Is learning from your experiences, moving on, finding a new challenge. It's feeling pretty good so far. So we're just going to give this a clear finish, I think. A clear coat. See how it's sticking on there? That's the epoxy. That's just from it heating up. It just peels right off. You can knock it off. But don't think your sandpaper is garbage. See? It's just because what's happening is the lathe is going so fast. The epoxy is heating back up and melting on your sandpaper. There it is again. But that's okay. Just go back and forth until you figure you've done this grit enough. This is the 150. And we're going to move on to the 220. Just going to get the inside of my cup edge here. Nice, that's feeling pretty good. So you can see all those little lines. Those are going to come out as we progress more in our grits of sandpaper. Now you can start to see my finger in there. See how you can see the light through there? Oh, that's going to be gorgeous. Now we're up to 180. Yeah, we also do wedding cups, you guys. So what those are, if you haven't seen on our Facebook page yet, we make a wedding goblet. We have 2 rings on them, and we try to match the rings to what the couple has the best we can. Granted, you know, you gotta watch out because of the wood, but the rings are turned onto the cups. We'll do one of those videos as well. Comment below if you guys want one, or if you guys want to see one of those videos. They're really good. Made one for my son's wedding and his friend. One was out of mahogany, walnut, and the other one was out of zebra wood, or tiger wood. Looked really good, really sharp. Cool. Oh, it's looking so good. I can see it changing already. I'm just going to hit the inside of my edge here. If you guys seen some of our older videos, you'll notice that we're still getting into this YouTube channel, so we're just starting to talk a little bit more. We never used to talk this much. I apologize, probably made the videos boring, but it does take some time, and you'd be surprised. Getting used to talking in front of the camera, or finding something to talk about anyway, not just sitting here doing your work. Never knew how much of a challenge this was going to be, but I love it. Well, yeah, if you guys can, send my channel around, share my channel. Share my channel with your friends, your family. Let them know what we do. Spread the word. Keystone Construction and Developments. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. All the social platforms. Mind you, except for Snapchat. Snapchat's kind of hard to do with a construction company. One of these times we're going to go on Facebook Live or YouTube Live as well. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep doing these YouTube channels just like this. Now that was 180. Let's bump it up to 220. So this is our 220. Again, when you're doing the sandpaper, guys, you don't want to press too aggressively. You want the sandpaper to do the work, not you. Your hands are just there, or your fingers are just there guiding the paper and pressing it lightly on your wood, back and forth. Back and forth. Oh, we also do rings. I don't know if you guys have seen these rings here. It's getting a little dirty now, but we wear them just so we can actually see the wear and tear, you know, because we want them to be strong, we want them to be sturdy. So we make men and women's rings. This is an acrylic. You can see through it onto the two-piece stainless steel, but this is a wood. It's a Indonesian wood. It's very nice. Those are $150 a piece. We can make those for you in about 14 to 18 days. Those are online as well. Our wedding cups range from $280 and up, because they take anywhere from 1 to 2 days to make. So they're going to be a little bit more expensive. Rings, not so much. We do cutting boards as well. Walnut River cutting boards. Those will be online soon. You'll see. We're just updating our website now. So all the new stuff we've been doing, we want people to be able to see what we have. The walnut cutting boards range anywhere from $140 and up, depending on what you want. We can make it with an epoxy river in it. food safe, of course, and then the finish we put on is either a beeswax or a cutting board butcher block finish. Those will be online soon too, so subscribe to our channel and you'll be able to see. We'll make one of those videos as well. Pretty soon we're going to be doing how-to videos as well, because it looks like there's a lot of people out there who don't, I don't want to say don't know how to use machines, but they just don't have the teachings, or they didn't go to school for it or whatever. So comment below actually, guys, and let us know what kind of channels or what kind of YouTube videos you guys want on how-tos. Let's turn this off and see what it looks like. It's coming along once we get up a little bit more in grit. Oh yeah, look at that. It's going to be really nice, guys. Oh, it'll be polished. Okay, so now we're up to a 320. You guys noticed I actually turned it up. That's because I want it to go a little bit faster. When you turn the speed up, you're able to get a more unison feel for your sandpaper. But it does gum up faster, so you just got to watch out for that. Remember, don't press hard. Let the sandpaper do the work. Just press nice and light, back and forth. Eventually, you know, this is a 320. We're going to go all the way up to 12,000, I was saying. With that 12,000 grit finish, it should look just like glass. Nice and slow, not too fast, don't press too hard. See how it's gumming up? Again, don't press too hard. We don't want this thing falling off like it did before. You guys can't see it, but I'm actually putting my whole hand underneath it. So my hand is cupping the cup right now and helping the sandpaper go on. Alright, we're just about ready to head to the 400 grit. Just going to take a little piece and I'm going to sand the inside of the ridge where my mouth is going to sit. Gotta have that nice and smooth, right? Don't want to cut your lips. As you're drinking your coffee or your beer or whatever you drink, or your scotch. Okay, now we're up to a 400 grit, guys. pretty soon you're going to be able to actually just see it polish. You can probably already see it in the video. Hopefully you can. As you go up in grit, sometimes what you need to do is, this is wet sandpaper, so you might need to just put a drop of water on it. What that drop of water does, guys, is it actually keeps your sandpaper a little bit longer. So you can either put it on here or on your piece, and then go back to sanding. See how that polishes up real nice? It dries up very quickly. You're going to see little puddles of dirt. Those puddles of dirt are actually the sand that would be that. You don't want to soak it, you just want to dampen it. Just as a pre-warning, if you stand behind, this is going to shoot water at you. See it drying up fast. Alright. Just going to take a little piece of 400 grit and I'm going to sand the inside of the ridge here now. It's looking good so far, you guys. We're going to bump up to our 600 grit right after this. Again, this is 600 grit waterproof, so we're going to spray it on, just like we did last time. We're just misting the water on. We don't want to put way too much water on. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to just save our sandpaper a little bit more. And I think this waterproof sandpaper does better when you wet it down. It's automotive, but it works well with wood as well. There we go. Okay, let's hit the 1200 grit. Grit is again waterproof. So you put your water on there. Same thing. Same with my 2000 grit. what I said, that it's going to stick a little bit sometimes. That's okay. Just make sure you're not pressing too hard and your hands get caught. That's what no one wants. Stay safe. All right, 2000 grit. Again, waterproof. It's looking pretty good. Inside is a little dirty, but once that's polished, we can do the inside as well. Nice. Oh, look at that. That looks beautiful. Little tiny pieces of wood chunks everywhere. Now we got open wood here, so we're going to put a polish on it. Those polishes help shine it and seal it. So this is a high gloss plastic polish. You just want to put a dab or two, nothing too crazy. Okay. Just let that air dry, just like that. You'll see it start to haze over. How it looked wet. As you notice, during time it'll haze over and look a little more dry. And that's when you want to touch it and polish it. You can do many coats. 2, 3, 4 coats. The more you do, the more it'll get polished. But just watch as that starts to haze over. See it start to not be shiny anymore. It's starting to haze now a little bit more. And more. See that? That's the time you want to get in there and start wiping it with your rag. You're going to see it start to come to life. See how that shines it up? Looks beautiful. You don't want to press too hard, or else this thing will just take it right out of your hands. Again, you don't want this piece falling off the block. Go back and forth, wiping that polish on, and you can see how it shined the whole piece up. It's beautiful because in the video you can see the actual wood turning slow. Here I don't see that yet until I actually stop the video or stop the plane. Look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful? Hey? Those little pieces in there is just dust. We're going to blow that out. But that is gorgeous. So let me just go get my air compressor. So you'll see it. See how that just blows out? Now if you wanted to, you can put a little bit of CA glue in there and fill that right up. Let it dry and then sand it if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another coat of gloss on. Again, just wait for it to haze over before you start doing anything else with it. Won't take it very long. You can see it's already starting to do it. The more coats you put on, the more it'll glaze over, and the less time it takes, but the more polished it will look. I'll turn this down. It's hazed over. Now watch as I take the rag, it'll look even better. Look at that. It's starting to look like glass. See that? That's gorgeous. Wiping it back and forth. The whole idea of what you're trying to do here is you're trying to polish it in. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Now we're going to polish the inside. Just wiping all the excess off right now. I don't know if you saw how much that shined up, or shone up, I guess would be the proper terminology for it. After I wiped it off a little bit more. Nice. Now we're going to wipe off the inside and polish it. I think I got to take my ring off though, huh? Last thing we need is for that to get gouges on it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put it on our rag here, and then watch the inside of the cup. You'll start to see it start to shine. You can see my finger right through there with the rag. The reason you see it chattering is because it fell off the chuck. And then what happened is I was able to level the outside again. I just didn't want to take the, mess up and do the inside. If I would have done that to the inside, it could have broken my cup. I'm going to get a little bit of a smaller rag and then do that. Just put it on here and then go on the inside. Now, I don't know if you guys can see that, but my hand is right there on the inside. I can see the rag. Looks really cool. I'll bring the video a little closer. Hopefully you can see it. Watch as I go in. Keep track right here. See my hand? You can see the rag up in there? It's because of the epoxy. It's clear. You might be able to see it more when I turn the lathe up a little bit more in speed, but you see that? I just don't want to press too hard and have this thing fall off again on me. Do it one more time. There. See my hand? We're just about done here. Move the camera back, guys. Do one more time on the outside. Again, let it dry over or haze up. You'll start to see it haze over. See how that's hazed over now? So we're going to turn this down, polish it up one more time with a fresh rag. One more time on the wipe on the inside. Hopefully we can get it wiped down good. So what do you guys think of the video so far? If I haven't said this before, which I think I have, just comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any other videos you guys think you want to see. If we can do it, we'll try to do it for you. It's a 2-hour video. We're just about done. Alright, I'm going to wipe this off with a nice fresh rag. But be careful, she'll heat up fast on you. See it start to polish up and look like glass. It's beautiful. Inside a little bit here. Nice. Alright, let's turn it off and we'll see what we ended up with. See what you guys think. What do you guys think? It's not bad, hey? A couple minor chips in there, but I think we'll do better the next time. Let's take this off and see what we ended up with. Sorry, just looking for my wrenches here. There we go. There's one. There's two. These don't need to be on very tight, as you'll see. Nice and loose. Well, not loose, but this turns that way, that turns that way. So it's an opposite thread, so it'll never fall off. Nice. Let's take this over to the table. We'll just take this over to the bandsaw and we'll cut that off. It should just peel right off. But there it is, guys. There is an epoxy walnut mug. Looks a little bit different than I started. It's not the best because you get better with practice. So there you go. It's a good time or good use of material that you didn't want to waste. So let us know what you think in the comments below. You can see some stuff in my beard here, but that's okay. Follow us online. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. You can find us online at KeystoneConstructionInc.ca. And you can find pretty much everything that's we do on there, or you can follow our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and we'll look forward to you next time. Stay safe, guys. Thanks for joining in.